Wait till clean again?
See what we figure out.
Yeah, but this is ours from this is ours? Yeah, but I'm asking.
Yeah, well, you have to speak to Mati. Mati's, at what point does it become yours? When it goes in the fridge? Oh, I got it. Oh, here we go.
Record it. They got it.
Yeah.
Put yourself on video.
No, it's not ready. The Kohanim, what is it? Kohen Mechatet B'Beis HaKronis. It's one of my favorite characters in Shas. The Kohen Mechatet B'Beis HaKronis. Look at this. It's not right. Closet eaters. Because you're busted.
No, I'm not taking from the leftovers. That's she said. I'm taking.
Those are called closet eaters.
Who you going after?
Called closet eaters.
Going after the guy with What do you want? Who are you screaming at?
Of course you should stay. All right. I want to give a big shkoyach to Reb Mordechai for coming for Tzeh Ulmad. And I want to give a shkoyach to the sponsor, to Dr. Aaron, Mrs. Yafa Weiss, Leilu Nishmas, her father. You know how we all take, David Kleiner for granted, somebody who takes care of the shul. If there's any issue, if the wall is broken, you call. If you need something about finances, you call. About the Gabois, call. So Mr. Schiffman, Aaron Schiffman, Olav Shalom, was that for Hamilton for many, many years. Whatever you needed to know, he took care of it, right? There was no stone unturned that he wasn't aware of what was going on in Hamilton. It's his son-in-law. It's his son-in-law. So his name, remind me the name?
Aaron Yaakov.
So you had the same name as him?
Aaron Yaakov
Ben Nechemia Halevi. Shem Shev Aliyah. Should be a schus for his neshama. I also want to thank Reb Mordechai Appel. I Baruch Hashem, because of Zoom, I get to be at a lot of events around town. Whatever, they'll call me to stream or they'll call me to set up a video. Every event I go to, Reb Mordechai's there. KLALL dinner at Frankie Hauer's house, Mordechai is there. Yutes Kislev Verbringen Chabad, Mordechai is there. Okay, am I right?
That's really what you're trying to get to.
That's what I'm trying to get to. He is there. He's not shy. Wherever there's Torah, Reb Mordechai comes. He's not shy wherever it may come from. Doesn't have any biases built in. Welcome again to Tzeh Ulmad.
Okay, so first I just want to share a nice chiddush mitzvah coming from the Sefer.
And he's Mechaber Svarim also.
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
Mixes Shochai.
So first I want to share
It wasn't like this when Mati was running.
Let's go.
Save the food and shut up.
So it's good for having me again. First I'd like to share a little bit nice chiddush over here. The pasuk tells us, "Vayirmel Moshe leimer marbim ha'am lahavi." This is something that was a one-time thing. I don't know if we'll ever hear it again. There's a collection, and I have to tell them to stop. There was way too much.
It was.
There was way too much coming, and they said they're bringing much more than they need for the tasks, and therefore it's time to stop. There's a shayla that's brought in the Sharma Akdashim, which is based on the Gemara. The Gemara tells us in Ksubas Daf Nun, the Gemara tells us a KLALL. Hamevazvez al yevazvez yosem echoymesh. When it comes to doing mitzvahs, there's a price tag. You pay a choymesh. Up to a choymesh for a mitzvah. Yes, I'd like to go ahead and buy the nicest esrog, nice lulav. But if they're charging $10,000 for an esrog,
so it's a chomish of what? Is that your gross income?
I mean, we can discuss that. Well, how do you base your meiser? We can talk all
There's
about
no esrogim in the town, and the only esrog is $10,000.
it. So could be the entire city should get together and pay for it as one, as a full city, and everyone use it. But definitely not for a yachid to go ahead. But again, that's not the topic. That's not what we're coming to discuss over. This as a klal comes to mitzvahs al yevazviz yesem echemish. A person doesn't pay more than the chemish. The Vilna Gaon famously said, he used to always say beautiful Bertlach based on the Taime HaMikra, and he looked at the pasuk over there in Kisisa when it says Ha'asher lo yarbe, the usher shouldn't increase. Lo yarba, and lo yarba is a munach revi'i. He says when it comes to going out by mitzvahs, munach revi'i, leave over 4 out of 5. 1/5 you can spend on, 4/5 you shouldn't spend, meaning leave over 80%. Okay, that was his remes. Now, L'maisa, that's a pasuk in Kisisa. In our pasuk over here, we don't have such drop. Not only that, the pasuk says that they brought more and more and more. So, Fergan the Mefarshim, what happened to this call of Yevazis al Yevazis Yesim Echemish? It seems that they brought way more than that. This is the shayla that the men Mefarshim asked. Let's.
No, it's mashma that they brought more than they needed, but not more than they had. Maybe they had Hainrao. How do we know what they had?
That's 1 teretz.
Oh, okay.
So, Lamazan, yeah. So first of all, 1 teretz could be that since from the Bizas Hayam, they collected an endless amount from the Bizas Hayam, so they had so much that even though they kept on bringing over here, it was no shaykhis to the chayvish. Somebody said over once from one of the very prominent families here in Toronto that when they lost their money, and people said, "How could it be?" So somebody said, "No, they didn't. They gave too much, much more than they gave much more than they were allowed to give." And others said, "No, they had so much money it couldn't have been. They didn't come close to how much." Different yeshem, right? It doesn't matter. But the point is over here. The point is over here that 1 teretz that they give, which seems to be a simple teretz, is that they had so much coming out of the Bizas Hayam, and Memela, this was no shaykhis to Chaimish, not a problem at all.
I think the Mishkan just ran a charity campaign. I've never seen a charity campaign that didn't double a goal and go into overtime.
And then there's the bonus round.
The bonus round. So
Right.
the bonus round.
Okay. Another teretz is the Ravid. The Ravid learns. The Ravid says that the reason why I'm a vazviz al yivazviz yesim mechemish is kidei shelo yavi lidei oini v'yapel atzman latzibur. Not to become a charity case, not to become the Nebuchadnezzar. Everyone becomes your responsibility because you're trying to do shayna mitzvahs. You know, the guy goes ahead and he buys an esrog for $3,000, and he has to come and they have to collect money from Yom Tov, whatever it is. So it can't be such a thing. So Zok the Ravid, based on this Ravid, it's another simple teretz over here between the man that was there and the fact that this was a communal project for Gans KLALL, so everybody was involved in this together. Everyone brought zusammen. There's nothing to worry about that a person is bringing. They're going to fall onto the tzibur. Memela would have been allowed. In Chochmas Adam from the Chai Adam, so he says that an usher muflik is required to spend on mitzvahs and tzedakah way more than a chaimish. He says that the Chavetz Chaim brings this in Ahavas Chesed, and Rav Yasser used to say this halacha l'maisa. When an usher would come to him and start saying, "I've been makbid, I'm very makbid on meiser," he says, "No meiser, oh chaimish, no chaimish." Rabbi Yasser was very, very busy. That there's no such thing that Asher Muflik shouldn't be giving more than that. Okay. Again, you also find the Gemara tells us that Rabbi Gamliel, he spent 1,000 zuhuvim to buy his esrog. He was a tremendous gvir. He was a nasi, so obviously he was in a position to do so. I want to take this to a deeper level. The Hatanya writes in Geras HaTshuva, he brings the mice of Hillel Azok. That's what I was telling you earlier about. He's the mice of Hillel Azok. He used to work every single day. He'd chop wood. He would earn 1 tropic. It's a half a dinner, and half the money he'd give to the guard, to the shomer of the Beis Medrash to be able for entrance fees. Also, the first of this say part of it was to be able for the upkeep of the Beis Medrash, but the kids for his entrance fees, and the other half would go to his family. And Hillel Azaki was as poor as they come, right? So much so the person's going to come upstairs and say, "Why didn't you learn Torah?" He says, I couldn't afford it. Really? With Hillel Azaki, were you poorer than Hillel Azaki? So Hillel was an ani. half of his income, from the meager income that he had, was given to go and pay to be able to learn Torah. Shrek the Hillel Baal Tanya, what's going on? Yivaz v'zal yivaz v'yosim echomish. He's giving half of everything for Torah. It can't be such a thing. It's a fair words. It's not okay. Yet this Hillel Zokin. Zok the Baal Tanya, a beautiful thing. He tells us that for mitzvahs, there's a limit. But for chiyus alain, it's what you're not going to pay. You're not going to pay everything that you have and then some. If a person needs person needs an operation, or a person needs something, you're not going to pay for everything you have and even borrow some. This is chiyus. And because Hillel Zokin looked at learning Torah as his chiyus, this was his life, this is our lives. So he said this didn't apply to him. It's a perspective. It's a perspective how we approach things. Are we doing mitzvahs because the Yetzer Zayin? So there's a certain thing, certain schum you can spend. But if it becomes our life, our lifeline, our blood, and everything that's everything to us is this mitzvah we're doing. Yeah.
So it's not just that it was
You Eden were talking doing it for kapara.
I had that
You
on
say it
the
was
side.
more?
Yeah.
So they were okay with
So
giving
could be
more.
allowed to give more because of
Because
that.
When it comes to kapas nafsh, it's like a medical thing.
So the Master Chachma tells us that the purpose of the mishkan switched. Originally, the purpose of the mishkan was what? Was to go ahead and what? To bring karbanos. After the Chet Egel, it became a place for Ashura Shechina. It changed its focus, and now it became Archives. And could be based on this. I'm just thinking that could be based on this. Earlier, the first time, Osher Leyarba, this idea of Yosef Mechem is just talking about the mitzvahs of bringing karbanos. Those are mitzvahs. But there's a limit. But now over here in our parsha, we're not talking about anymore this idea of karbanos. We're talking about the mishkan, the chiyus of the person himself, Shreis Hashchina within the person. Over there's no more limit at all. This is an idea over here that I just wanted to bring out. But continuing with how we view things, our perspective on mitzvahs, our perspective on Torah, perspective of chayvus and chiyuvim that we have from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're going to come now. It's coming now. The Erev, it's Rosh Chodesh Nisan. The time, it's interesting always. You look at shiurim statistically throughout KLALL YISROEL. Nighttime shiurim, they say statistically between Purim and Pesach, the nighttime shiurim are filled with many more men than earlier in the year. Interesting thing, right? So it could be it's because the wives are saying, "Please go," or it could be it's the husbands know that it's better to go and not to be there. Whatever it is, but Pesach time is that could bring a person a lot of stress. We mentioned beforehand from the Imre Chaim, the Hillel Chaim, Visions used to say, "Be'erev techlu matzos," that the concept of matzah is something you want to do it you want to bring it for many days. How are you supposed to get there? How are you supposed to do it? He says, well, if everything that the children see, if all the children see is the stress, the next door says there are things that I can do that don't require stress. I'm not interested. Zok the Torah be'erev techlu matzos. So the Hillel Mechaim Taish be'erev loshen of beharavna mesikus. Beharavna. He says be'erev. If you do it be'erev with mesikus, then it's techlu matzos. Then it's going to blibe. If the children see that something that's sweet, if the children look at this as the kapara, where it's something that it's just always difficult. The difficult things. There's a schum. There's a limit how much you're willing to do. But if it becomes your chiyus, it becomes your life, and it becomes something you enjoy. We enjoy life. That's something that blibes for longer. Okay, if I have a few more minutes, I want to go through an Ohr Hahaim Says that really hit me hard. So one of them is right here at the beginning of Vayakel. There's two nukudas just to mention. Right at the beginning of Vayakel. talks about Es HaMishkan, Pasuk Yud Aleph. The Pasuk this is Es HaMishkan, Es HaMishkan, Es Olav, Ve'es Michseu, Es Krosav, Ve'es Kroshav, Es Bricha, Ve'es Avudav, Ve'es Adanav. So sometimes there's a Vav, sometimes there's no Vav. By the way, sometimes there's Ace, sometimes there's S. Chaim Kanievsky, so like the Rebbe used to say that you can tell the Pintele Gefährlichkeit von a Yid really comes out when they have the amount of geschmack they get when they correct the Valkyrie and S and Ace and the Vav and not a Vav and all these things. So you get to see what really comes out in the person. But okay, to say that, we're leaving that to the side. So the Ohr Hahaim Says says over here, Es HaMishkan. He says, this is actually this is Es HaMishkan. This is Es HaMishkan. You know, I used to give this is Es HaMishkan. It was a 50-50, right? You know, I gave a share once in a place, and every time there was a Swedish person. Every time he used to come to me after and he used to say, you know, you messed up on the diktik of this word, and it was an achshir. You messed up the diktik on this, you messed up on the diktik on that, the whole entire thing, right? So one time I figured I'll be a little ahead of him. And I came to him and I said, I'm about to give a shir on this pasuk, and I don't know the diktuk. He goes, dikduk. you can't win.
That's the Ramesha story.
I don't know.
Rabbi Reisman said it was a guy talking to Ramesha, and he was complaining that yeshiva like don't know dikduk, and he was hacking him a cup. And finally Ramesha looked at him and said, Rabbi Yid, dikduk.
Okay. So the Ohr Hahaim Says writes like this: if we picture the mishkan, we picture the areas, and we picture all the different things, there's coverings. He says, "Hine hadragas hamishkan shehem yiriyos hatachtonis leis shemesachin al kodesh hem behadarga meula me'aloi u'mechseu." He says, if you think about the different levels over there. Imagine you have something that has 10 levels. What's going to be the highest, most chashuv from all of them? So one on the top. Not only that, that's the one that everyone sees. Zogt, the Ohr Hahaim Says, it's not like that at all. He says, "Hadrogas hamishkan shehem yiriyos hatachtonis." Yiriyos hatachtonis. It's the one that's under. That's actually the one that covers the kodesh. He goes right. He says that these are the iris, the skins. She'enam royim pnei hakodesh. Lazel le'amar v'asal le'lashvus. 1 second. V'kol shal yiris hatachtonis. Hishro isam hakasim madriga achas. V'amar v'esmechseu. L'hashvoisa v'geder echad emaloi. V'lo yiyah shetia gedula. 1 second. Yeah, so he says over here, YISROEL, that just because there are people in life that you see them shining and you see them out there for the KLALL and everything like that, and their names always make it. He says, but the same vav, the same letter, the same and, just as chashuv, the one that you never see, the ones that are enter and tish, that they're getting things done, and you don't even hear about them. He says, and it doesn't have to be the guy who's whether he's a Schwitzer, it doesn't make a difference what he is. Person who's doing what he's supposed to be doing, he has the same chashivas and sometimes even more. This is one that stuck out to me. But going further, and this is the one I just wanted to focus on, in Perek Lamed Tes Pasuk Lamed Beis. I'll say it very, very quickly. It's Kedai just for this Ohr Hahaim Says. Lamed Tes, not that he needs our skama, but it says like this: V'teichel kol avodas mishkan el moed. They finished everything. V'yasib bnei Yisroel k'chol shetziv Hashem es Moshe kein asa. They did everything. They completed their whole job. Zok the Ohr Hahaim, because v'yasib bnei Yisroel, really? Who was the one who did the job? Moshe, Betzalel, Chachmei Lev. It wasn't everybody. V'agam shalei asu el Betzalel v'Chachmei Lev. Shluchei shel Adam k'Moshe. More brachas. Kilu kol YISROEL asu. It's kilu, everyone did it. V'gam shalei matzimna. Affect Akasha. 1 second. Did we make them shluchim? Where did the Betzalel get the shlichus from? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So v'agam shalei matzinu she'asu Betzalel el b'maymer Hashem v'lo heim sholchu. They didn't make him a shliach. Afal pikein hari hiskimu alav. They were hiskimu alav. He goes back. He says, Oid nira, he can also a cause of machberes hakolois b'kiyam atayr. So the emphasis we always said, all the years everyone said the Ohr Hahaim Says was really Chassidish Sefer. But this is like where you see, and the Shloach HaKadosh is busy with this, and all the Swarm HaKadosh are busy with this idea. Again, Kikan Asa Kosov Machberes HaKlolois B'Kiyam HaTorah. What does that mean, Machberes HaKlolois? So this is a binded notebook where everybody comes together in one, and it becomes one. V'hara kibnei Yisrael yisku zeh lezeh, v'aTorah nitn l'skayim b'klolos Yisrael, kol echad yasa ha'yicholos shebiyadav yisku zeh lezeh. It's an incredible thing over here. There's a mitzvah and a Torah to give a get. How is someone supposed to keep Torah mitzvahs? He's happily married, it's not negay for him. So, but there's somebody else who was Mekayim that mitzvah, and if I am nichol, if I'm joined together as one with that person, so that becomes my mitzvah as well. One person can struggle in kibbut avayim. Another person's nisayin might be in shmiras hanayim. Another person's nisayin could be in forgetting the next person. Another one in limud Torah. Whatever it is, every person, his challenge, his nisayin in life, when he's joined together with everybody else, and guess what? One person is going to finish Shas Be'iyun, the other person Be'kiyas. One person is in Jewish, right? The other person is Halach L'maisa. Every person has a different thing. One person he's a Baal Chesed, Shein K'dugmasai. The next person, he has his mitzvah. Every person can do their mitzvah differently, and whatever they need to do. But b'chlolos, the Torah went ahead over here and made this a machberes haklos b'kiyam HaTorah.
So I could live vicariously? Is that what you're saying?
No, you're not living vicariously.
He finishes.
Vicariously means when you're not connected, but you're trying to happen through someone else. We're saying more. Machberes haklos means you're interconnected, and you're actually doing that mitzvah when he's doing it. So it's more than vicariously.
I know. I want to know how that works.
So I'll tell you an idea. The Minchas Lozer writes. The Chazal tells kol echad nichve b'chupas chaver. Kol echad nichve b'chupas chaver. What does that mean? A person can get singed. They can literally get burned in the chuppah of somebody else. So you're sitting in one room together, and the next person perhaps maybe he's a little too loud, right? I'll give you a simple muscle. Remember once davening in a shul, and the one guy was saying Shema, 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 going over and over again, right? To the point where the Fabanta Litzvak saying Shema over and over again, it makes you crazy, and you're like just shh, not Shema, shh, like that, and you're trying to tell him to shush, right? So it could get annoying, right? And then, thinking back to one's davening in Zichron Moshe one year in Eretz Yisrael, Purim was on Erev Shabbos, and it was already, everybody was very, very lebedik, and we davened Leil Shabbos in Zichron Moshe, Yerushalayim. What do you think Leil Shabbos, the davening, what might have looked like when people were still half shaker on an early, right, before the clock changed, after, whatever it was, people came into davening, half shaker, and you have one guy yelling, Havarabba, next person saying, what's it called? Every person saying their different things that are important to them. Out loud, every person depending on what they're and the Litvisha person, he's yelling over and over and over again. Next person, every person's yelling their thing, right? The davening sounded quite funny, but the truth is, with every person's focus, zusammen, everything together, if I would have minded what was going on. Now, it could be being half shaker also helped not to mind so much, right? But if I would have minded what was going on, and I would have came upstairs, they would say, you're missing the very Secha part of davening. Because you minded when he yelled it. But if I'm happy about the whole picture together, coming out as one, so it ends up that I come upstairs and they say, wow, Matri, you had a beautiful kavanah by very Secha. When they said when they said you had a beautiful kavanah there. I don't know what you're talking about. I never did. No, because you were there tzazam with everybody else, and you were machberes close. You were connected, so it became one powerful thing. This only works, Rabbi say, if we're connected to each other. If there's no this chassidus, that chassidus, this yeshiva, that. But if everybody's tzazam and all together, and Yom Tov time especially is the time when a person, you feel it the most, you see it the most. Everyone comes with their kindlach to shul, and everybody and everybody's trying to be their best on every level. When a person comes and they feel really that they're part of KLALL YISROEL Tzazamen, that's when the person's not nechve. Dr. Ohr Hahaim Says, he finishes off and he says, "V'ahavta l'recha kamecha." He puts this into the same thing. He says, "V'ulai ki lazeh remez ba'omer." There's a beautiful chiddush. "V'ahavta l'recha kamecha." What does that mean? So usually we teach, love him like you love yourself, right? He says, no. Pirush l'tzad shehu kameischa ki b'shleim yetiv l'cha, yetiv lach. He says, if you can love that person, guess who you're doing a favor for? Yourself. Why? Because by loving him, you're actually gaining the mitzvahs that he has, and vicariously, it's becoming a part of you. So v'ahavta, why? Because you're doing it for yourself. That's how he wants to touch it. He wants to touch like that. And just to finish off with,
I always thought it was a selfish reason. No, why else?
And to finish off over here, somebody heard once from on a cassette tape. If everyone remembers cassette tapes from Moshe Wolfson's from the Shkich, he said we have double parshas. A very nice idea. He said double parshas. When do you have the double parshas? I don't know if it was his chiddush or he said from someone else, but he says right after Purim we're if what?
Whenever there's no time.
Whenever there's no time. It's not Hatanya. So he said he says, for example, we have right after Purim, Lech Kinois Kol Yehudim. So there was an inyan, at this time there's an inyan for KLALL YISROEL to come together. So we have a chibur of parshas. Later on during you may have Tzarim. Maybe on Tzarim we have over there also. We have
Matas
Masay, all those, because that was a time when KLALL YISROEL was historically, unfortunately, fighting. Say no, you may have Tzarim came about through that. Sinas Chinam. Now we have to go ahead and we have to put them together also. He says there's only one time, one double parsha. He makes a cheshbon that doesn't stem from the whole thing. So that's Nitzavim Vayelach. It's pshat. It's something very interesting. So under Zok Pshat, what do you mean? One thing, before Shana you have to be together, right? But that's l'chayr the simple teretz, and also based on the whole shmuz we were saying now, you want everyone's mitzvahs, otherwise how are you going to survive? Right? Pashup Pshat. So he had a different chap. He said it goes backwards. He said really we find that Nitzavim Vayelach was one parsha, and it got divided. Why did it get divided? He says sometimes we lay it together. He said, but it got divided. Why did it get divided? He says, because there's a time that you're supposed to learn how to stay away from people also. He says, during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you're supposed to learn, you can't only rely on everybody. So you have to start looking inwardly and see what you can fix. And the people that you're not supposed to be with, now's the time to stay away. There's a time for everything. Everything's a shikul. You can't just say, I love every person and accept all the terrible things out there. All right. Yeah, I guess in Shkoyach.
Thank you.
You said that the mishkan changed its.
The tachlis.
The mishkan changed its function?
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Well, the original design of the mishkan to later, yeah.
Keep on using it before?
I think it's basic. It's basic holidays, no?
What, they changed it? I never heard it in that.
I never knew.
I didn't know it was a purpose for Kurbanis.
I never thought of it.
If you look, the Meshech Chochmah writes it the clearest that I've seen.
I know what to this day.
Sorry?
Does anybody else say it?
I hear it. Eventually, I'll get
The
to it.
Meshech Chochmah says it the clearest.
Yeah, he'll get to it.
So we hear by the Mishnah explaining it. It says the tachlis used to be.